Hello and welcome everyone to my first English-speaking podcast on my channel, Bakkie met Bergsma, which means having coffee in Dutch, with me, your host. I'm talking to Richard Grannon today, also known as the Spartan Life Coach. He has around 300,000 followers on YouTube. He has a degree in psychology and is also a martial arts teacher. He has dedicated his work to improving people's emotional intelligence, help them overcome personal suffering. He's an expert on narcissism, psychopathy, PTSD, codependence, and I would also like to call him a philosopher. I wanted to talk to Richard to learn from him how we can cope in this current crisis and how we can maintain our mental well-being. So in this conversation, we talk about what the nature of this crisis really is and why crisis doesn't really have to be a bad thing if you can take control over your own destiny. I hope you enjoy it.
I love technology.
Yeah. It's the tech anxiety that's, bigger than anything else, basically. All right. Let's go. This is really funny because I've seen so many YouTube videos of you, and now it's like I'm watching your YouTube video, but it's actually with me.
But it's live.
Get over my starstruck thing. I don't know.
It's interactive now.
It's real. It's real. I'm really here with Richard Grannon, you all. But it's a great honor to talk to you, Richard. Grannon, also known as the Spartan Life Coach. I have learned so much from you. Like, I think it was 2013 that I came across your videos, struggling a little bit with my own family relationships, looking for answers. I think it was a video that was called Why Your Family Hates You. Which now people think that my family hates me, but it was just looking for answers, like why are things going so difficult? The conversations were difficult. We were not seeing each other, things like that. And you have this sort of tough love approach to your teachings and to your videos, and I really like that style. So that you have maintained that throughout the years. I haven't been watching you all these years. It's been a little bit off and on. But I think it's really great that you have, especially in these crazy times, you have really put yourself out there and spoken to many people and helped many people. I would guess. But before we hit all the COVID apocalyptic Armageddon talk, how are you?
Generally pretty good. Yeah, today is a good day.
Okay.
Generally good. Yes, thank you.
You're living in Spain right now, or just on a holiday, or?
Sometimes I come and I'll do like 5 months in Ibiza. I quite like working from here. It's a nice place to work from. So I'm at the tail end of a 5-month stint in Ibiza. Yeah,
it's better than the British climate weather.
It is. It certainly is.
And how is the political climate compared to home right now?
Well, Ibiza does its own thing to a degree. Generally speaking, Brits are still welcome here because, it's a tourist industry. They need Germans, Dutch and Brits, but Brits is the thick end of the wedge. So that's quite friendly. Things are strict. It's strict. Once you definitely, so everything is very laid back and very Southern European until there is a law or a rule. And then you remember that this was a fascist country for several decades, and suddenly there's no leeway for anything. So politically, it's obviously the flavour is different than it would be in the UK, and I've spent time in America as well, but certainly a bit more liberal overall than the UK has been. But then when it isn't liberal, when you cross a boundary, it's very, very, very strictly enforced. The Dutch actually refused me entry on January the 3rd of this year.
Really?
Which I couldn't believe it.
They didn't even offer you quarantine for 2 weeks? And
No.
Why?
No, they wouldn't let me leave the airport. There was me and a bunch of Brits who were trapped in, what's the main airport there in?
Schiphol.
Yeah, Schiphol. We were trapped there. And we were told to collect our luggage. We had a security team take us to collect the luggage, and we were told to buy a ticket to anywhere else other than Amsterdam.
Really?
Really strange.
We really like the Brits. They're so friendly when they come visit Amsterdam. They are never drunk. They never misbehave. The interest for me is that you know so much about narcissism, and I think that we cannot discuss this day and age, this crisis we are in right now, without actually talking about this issue as well.
Sure.
Like, and you have covered this extensively in your videos. And maybe my first question should be my most important question. Well, this is my second question, but what skills do we need as people right now to survive basically in this polarized, crazy situation? In Holland, it's the same. It's the same everywhere. People fighting over nothing, you know, yeah.
To answer your question, what skills do we need right now to get through this? We need all of them. We need all of the skills. So we as a species are hitting a point, whether it's this or another crisis, we now must grow up. We now must evolve from our adolescence into adulthood. If it wasn't this, it would have been another thing. So this is now inevitable.
Yeah.
For a lot of different factors. We are at a crisis point as a species. If it happens to be this and the evolution is created by this, then great. If it isn't, it will be something else. We must grow up. You know, we are now trapped in a prison of comfort that we've created as a species. We're the victims of our own success. Famine, plagues, genocide, earthquakes, none of that killed us. But finally reaching the cities of electric light and places where there's an abundance of food, which we dreamt of for hundreds of thousands of years, that could be the thing that takes us out. And it is the narcissistic psychosis that success breeds that's doing it. So yes, narcissism is also very, very relevant to the scenario we're in now.
So you're saying the COVID crisis is not actually the primary cause of why we are in this place. It was just just a cause, basically, and it could have been something else that made us all get stuck in this whole mass, you know, creating these masses of people that are just following the narrative and being very unhappy at the same time. They're being very defensive about what they believe should be the solution, and everyone is just in Holland right now. The last few days, we just introduced the Green Pass this last weekend. So I've been saying this before also. This is going to be a great. The differences are going to be very visible now, you know, because people can't hide behind, I don't know if I'm getting vaccinated. You know, they have to really be outspoken about it right now, and everyone's really agitated, and the media is just going totally crazy with accusing the anti-vaxxers, as they are called, of not contributing. So you can see they're creating these masses right now that are really like soldiers in a war trying to shut us down. And the censorship on internet is not helping either. So we really need these maybe psychological martial techniques to survive as dissidents, as people that want to, you know, stay critical, basically, just practice critical thinking. It's a psychological warfare more than it is about facts. Would you agree?
It certainly is. I mean, we know that because of the gaslighting. We're being told the Brits, they have a phrase that they use, which is follow the science, follow the science. And I'm like, well, that's not science. That's not what you do in science. You don't just blindly follow the last published research paper. You challenge it. And we're not following the science because there are plenty of scientists out there saying this is not how we should be doing this. My view is, when I say it would be this crisis or another crisis, it's global. Everybody's facing this. All human beings, wherever they are, rich, poor, anywhere in the earth, are being touched by this in some way. And the second element that I think indicates that if it wasn't this crisis, it would be another one, as you've just said, is it's a battle of narrative. It's not a battle of science. It's a battle of narrative and control of carefully selected scientific data. There were many ways that we could have responded to this. There were many things that we could have chosen to focus on. We've chosen vaccines instead of antivirals. That's an interesting choice. That's just one. That's just one thing. Why is the big focus on vaccines, not on antivirals? If it's a virus that's the threat, why is it not on health? Why are we not concerned that people are fat or drinking too much alcohol, or we're even rewarding people for taking a vaccine by giving them donuts and cheeseburgers in America? And I think, well, you know, if we're following the science, the data has shown us very clearly that the people who die from SARS-CoV-2 tend to be immune system compromised and or obese with other comorbidities that are brought about by living an extraordinarily unhealthy lifestyle. But we're not having that conversation. And we're not talking about antivirals. It's vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. So that's an example where we could say, this is really not about science. This is about an agenda. This is about a narrative. What you said about what we need to combat it, yes, just being rational and just being reasonable won't be enough. It would only have been enough inside of an infrastructure that wasn't collapsing, but this one is. So there's no safety within. There's not much safety anywhere right now.
It feels that way, at least. But you also said, I think you also made a video about this, why young men are the ones that are really not triggered by this crisis. They're actually very passive right now.
I think what we're seeing is a culture that has maybe deliberately, like to fulfill an agenda, or maybe it's just spontaneously occurred that way, has become toxically passive. And where you will see that, where you will notice the problem, where you'll see symptoms in the body, will be in young men who shouldn't be responding this way, who wouldn't in any other time respond this way. But their testosterone levels are lower than any other time in recorded medical history. Many 25-year-olds are walking around with the testosterone level of a 65-year-old if we went back to the 1930s. So you're talking about plummeting, like physically, biologically, hormonally. Men are less masculine. And the whole culture is toxically passive. And it's get things done by whinging, get things done by complaining. Let's make movements and you know, okay, good. But as you just said, these guys are following in that trend. They're complaining. What are they complaining about? They're complaining along the lines of identity politics. Oh, the name women it offends me. What are we talking about, mate? You don't like
I think it's called Bodies with a Vagina now, isn't it?
God. Good.
The Lancet, which is like the leading scientific magazine, is it? What is that? I think it is. The Lancet.
the propaganda mouthpiece of America.
Women are bodies with vaginas, and then of course you have the social justice warriors that are upset about that because some bodies don't have vaginas and they're also women. I don't know.
Yes,
it's complicated. It's exhausting to actually get sucked into those stories. I've experienced that. There's no point discussing it with the woke police.
No,
like Douglas Murray has written a book about this. You might know him.
Madness of Crowds.
He tried to talk sense into the far left on this point, but it has landed in Holland as well. And I think I feel like it's next to the COVID thing. It's just exhausting to just even switch on the TV or read the newspaper at this point.
Don't do it.
But maybe that's the whole point, isn't it? That we get exhausted.
There is an agenda to exasperate people. Every narcissistic agenda includes deception, gaslighting, and the attempt to exasperate the target. Because when the target is exasperated, they behave in a irrational, aggressive, or depressed way. And then the person who's doing the abusing can turn around and say, look at you, you're depressed, or look at you, you're angry. Look at you, you're unreasonable. It's reactive abuse. And as well as the intentional effort to do this, there is a spontaneous occurrence. I really think there's a spontaneity to this where people have drunk too much of a certain type of Kool-Aid that says, look, we must include everybody. That's a wonderful idea. Things should be equal. Wonderful, yes. And there should be no murder, and indeed no evil.
You can't be against all those things, no.
That's like a peak manifestation of the trap. The name itself is a trap. Are you saying they don't? And it's a threat. It's an implicit threat. And then I refuse to acknowledge it because you can't make me say rape is bad. You won't, no, it's a given. And if you don't trust me enough, that you would assume that I think murder is bad or pedophilia is bad. I'm not talking to you because you're arguing in bad faith and you're trying to get me to submit. So no, I won't kneel. I won't raise my fist. I won't say Black Lives Matter. I won't acknowledge it. I refuse to acknowledge it because it's insane. And it is a game being played to make people submit. Say that you think that murdering kids is bad. No.
But who's but you said the agenda, you said it's a game, but who's pulling the strings? Because I argue about this the most with people. Like people can see the narcissism, they can see that, you know, it's not about how our lives can be better. It's really all about the narrative. They can see that. But then when you talk about the games they are playing, everyone seems to get confused, like, oh, but who is doing that? Like,
right.
There can't be like a room full of people that are making these crazy stories up. Like, why are they creating this narcissism, or why are they gaslighting?
Well,
and who is they?
It's a good question. I think the way to analyze this is to say there is a sliding scale of intentionality. And some things are intentional and some things are spontaneous. And we need to be careful in distinguishing between the two. Otherwise, we'll become paranoid and we will go insane. Yes, there are agendas. With the Black Lives Matter movement, what was the agenda? Well, we know that one of the communist trained leaders ended up owning 4 houses. One of them was a multi-million-dollar house. He collected money in the name of a murdered black teenager, and the mother went public and said, I haven't seen $1 of this money that's been collected in my murdered daughter's name. So it's grift. It's grift. Yes. It's simple money, you know, and
you can just follow the money. You can just,
many times.
Pretty basic.
But there is also signs that there is a broader agenda as well to break the will of the people and to break up the nuclear family, to break people's sanity, to break people's will. Why? Is it to turn us all into slaves to be shoved into the matrix? Maybe. But also we live inside of late stage consumer capitalism. And I want my population to be submissive. Thank you. I'd like them to vote the way I want them to vote. I'd like them to buy the trainers I want them to buy and the cars I want them to buy because it's good for my economy. We've got to be careful pointing fingers. It's also us. It's also us. We are also lazy and apathetic and greedy and addicted to consumers. Yes. So I
would agree with what you're saying, but I'm also confused about the part where they can enslave us and control us because it benefits the markets and the governments, and it's easier for them to make us submissive to their ideologies and their politics. But on the other hand, they're creating these psychopaths, narcissists, me people that are, like you said, greedy. They are like the Greta Thunbergs, you know, they feel like they're on top of the world. They should be in power. Aren't they like overplaying their game a little bit? And when society has a lot of narcissism, that could really backfire also.
Well, we're back to the thing of the sliding scale of intentionality. Is there, if we say they, do we mean the people who run banks? Do we mean the people who run corporations, the marketeers? We're a huge human population now. We grew from 1 billion to nearly 8 billion in 180 something years. And there's an awful lot of us doing, working, making, pushing things in certain directions. So that's why I say the they is also us. It's everywhere. It's everything.
Yes, I agree.
We can't be like, oh, we're the innocent targets and they're the evil.
No, absolutely predators. Not. It's a game we play together. I do believe that is true.
It's a game we play together, and sometimes we like to switch roles, if we're being honest. You know, people would love to think of themselves as pure empaths, the pure victims of a narcissist. Because if you're a pure victim, well, you're a martyr, you're angelic, and they're demonic. This is polarized thinking. It's the thinking of the dispossessed. It's black and white thinking. Traumatized people think this way.
Okay.
Adult life doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
No.
So we're not having these conversations because it's easier to say, I'm a pure victim, therefore I'm good. You know, I'm unstained, I'm unsullied, and therefore I can say whatever I want. That is narcissism. That is absolute pure narcissism. It's the narcissism of victimhood. It's the narcissism of Nietzsche called it slave morality. We would all love to believe that our powerlessness is completely outside of our control, but it means that we are good people. What does that mean? So we talk a lot about narcissism. We say there's a pandemic of narcissism. And I would say there can only ever be a pandemic of narcissism if there's a greater pandemic of codependency that permits the narcissism to exist. These are not people walking around with machine guns and machetes. They're not. Because those people are called psychopaths. Narcissists don't do that. They require collusion. They require consent. If we were not vain, if we were not greedy, if we were not full of lust, there'd be nothing that the narcissist could do. They have to tempt people. They have to tempt them using their weakness. And once people are in that dynamic, they'll do the same thing. Nobody wants to look at their own shit, but the essence of human nature is narcissism. We were all born narcissists. If you and anybody in your comments who denies that simply doesn't understand narcissism. It's a Freudian concept. You cannot divide it from Freud. Healthy narcissism, a baby should be a narcissist. Then you're supposed to grow out of it. We all have that as our core template. Me.
Yeah, most people think narcissism is about having an inflated ego and you're like the center of the universe. I've learned, from what I've learned, it's actually the opposite. How does the narcissism fit into the COVID crisis thing? Because I have this feeling that a lot of people are actually enjoying the attention they are getting when they comply to the narrative. They're taking selfies when they've gotten the vaccine, or they're being very, very righteous about it. Or is that more like the hypnosis they're in, or is this also more like a personality?
Well, they're only hypnotized by their own self-image. It's pure narcissism. When people are virtue signaling, a signal is not an adult-to-adult communication. A signal is even in biology, signaling, the idea of signaling that we take the concept virtue signaling from, it's biological. It takes place between animals. And it's typically, if an animal can signal positively, they can signal negatively. And animals lie to each other. They say, I'm good to breed with right now, when they're not. I'm really strong and virile, when they're not. They fake it. So signaling the concept has deception built into it. Virtue signaling is fundamentally deceptive and narcissistic. Please look at what a wonderful person I am. Well, if you're so wonderful, why do you need me to look at you? If you did a good thing,
I feel like I think they've really actually taken off that armor of being really likable and virtuous. I'm really seeing the change in the last couple of weeks. Like we have the usual, like, people on the television all the time playing Mr. Nice. I'm going to save Holland from the virus, and we want to do what's best for everyone. And now they're actually signaling their hatred right now.
Yes, but it's still a virtue. How does a Nazi show they're a good Nazi? How does a good Stalinist show that they're a good Stalinist? It's still, but they're not virtue signaling to you and me. They're virtue signaling to their own team. And it's become combative. There are battle lines drawn now. They don't care if you like them. They want you to hate them. That's narcissistic supply. Negative narcissistic supply is still narcissistic supply. They're showing I'm good at coercion. I'm good at obedience. And people who believe obedience is a virtue, they're morons.
So they have different roles in this time. Yeah. How are you experiencing this crisis in your personal life?
There's been practical issues, like within the family unit, around vaccination and social distancing and everything else, where most of my family just don't agree with my position at all, which is normal. I would expect that. I nearly got thrown out of the place I'm renting because I refused to wear a mask when walking through the car park. We have an isolated car park, and in the middle of summer, when it was really, really hot, I was in this closed car park surrounded by concrete. It's like 42 degrees C in there. I'm pretty sure you'd have to really want to get I'd have to sneeze on the floor and you'd have to run over and lick it quickly before it evaporated in this heat. Yeah. And they wanted to throw me out. They had like a little community meeting because I kept refusing to wear the mask in a boiling hot fucking car park. In the gyms here in Spain, when you're training, you're supposed to wear a mask when you train. And I'm not doing that because that's insane.
It's insane.
I sweat a lot. I'm not sucking on a sweaty, wet piece of material when I'm out of breath. That's insane.
But you actually need, I've heard oxygen is important when you're like exercising. I don't know. That. Is that a rumor or I don't know? I thought
we should check. Let's check the
water,
Lancet.
oxygen. I don't know. No, but it's about compliance, really, isn't it? I mean, it's
100%.
showing each other that you're complying is what the mask was about, like from the beginning.
Well, it's a signal. It's a signal. It does nothing. And we all know it does nothing, because that's why when you sit down on a plane and eat, you can take it off. And I'm like, if all of you people really believe that there's a highly deadly, highly contagious virus afoot, you wouldn't act this way. Stop it. You don't. Even the ones who are most virtuous don't believe, unless they're so low IQ that they've not even thought through how a virus could transmit. And the thing that annoys me is you must wear a mask and you must social distance. But I saw no order, because I traveled a lot during the pandemic. I saw no order in any country that said, stay home if you have a cold and you're coughing and sneezing. So I have been through airports with people in masks, sneezing, coughing, but it's not illegal. Nobody stops them as long as they have a mask on. Saw a woman touching her face, coughing clearly with the flu. Then she grabbed her child's hand. It might have been at Schiphol Airport, actually, not this time, but the time before. And then grabbed her child's hand. And I'm like, okay, that's dangerous. If we're talking flu, snotty hand on snotty child's hand, and then the child's just going to rub it, that's dangerous. This is where I get frustrated with people saying, follow the science. And I'm like, what do you think the mask is for? Oh, it stops me getting the virus. No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. And nobody said that.
No, and it's also made us suspicious of normal behavior, basically. But when you watch people sneeze and you're thinking about, well, they just wear a mask and now they're sneezing. Actually, what you're doing also is making something more out of the fact that she was sneezing. And people are looking at each other like they're walking viruses, basically.
My sister's kids, they'd come, I'd see them, and I'd be kissing them on the face, because they're tiny little babies, but they carried colds, they're babies. And then every Christmas, I end up with the flu.
But Richard, they also need to get your virus and bacteria.
Sure.
It's good for them.
Sure,
but they're really small. It's good. My youngest had a cold like for 5 years, and he's fine.
We can find a balance. I think what I would say is we can find a balance. We're not all walking viruses.
No, we shouldn't. But I think they're trying to bubble wrap us.
You're an adult. You need to have choice and sovereignty of your own body.
Yeah.
And the way that this is being pushed is being totally absurdly oversold. And it really frightens me. I'm really, really frightened by the hyper normalization effects of this. Like, what happens with my body is now the government's concern. Yeah. And they've leaned very hard into this instead of just pushing antivirals and health and optional vaccination and social distancing and everything you should do if there's a pandemic. Yeah. Is there still a pandemic?
Well, it's become clear that Big Pharma has a big part, of course, in not making us too healthy. Not just the vaccines that they are selling. It's also the antidepressants that they can sell during lockdowns. And I mean, it's skyrocketing right now. Also in the Netherlands, people are depressed and lonely. They shouldn't take pills. I think they should be empowered to find a purpose. I get a lot of emails from people. They're like, okay, I listen to your live streams and it makes me a little less sad about what's happening. And I guess that's a compliment, but it doesn't really reassure me that they are really working on a long-term solution for themselves. I can see it in myself also. I've been having weeks like, okay, well, if the gym is going to close next week, why should I even go now? Your whole life is actually inside this whole issue. I mean, I can walk my dog and I can have a nice meal with friends, but it's like it's always in our minds, like wherever we go, and I don't even watch TV. How to escape from this constant reminder that our future is uncertain and we have to get the green pass and we can't go out. So how do you focus on the positive, or should we even focus on the positive? Maybe we should just despair and do something with that.
I don't really have a collective solution here. I'm not. No.
It's on the level of the individual. Always.
Only on the level of individuals. I just want people to grow up. I just really want people to grow up. Because if we grow up, everything will be fine. If we stay like children.
When do we grow up?
When?
Yeah.
The time must be now. When this crisis goes away, there will be another one and another one and another one, because we can't maintain this. We can't live like this. It's not sensible. It's not sustainable. It's not an adult lifestyle that we've adopted. The party's over, but we're going to keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing. You only have to look at the financial system that we're living in, or that we have been living with. We're kicking the can down the road. We broke it. It's broken. 2008, we're still dealing with the after effects of 2008. Now we're going to have this economic crisis, which we'll feel the effects of for decades. Our grandchildren will be burdened with the debt that we've accumulated during this crisis. So things have to change, and the changes will be dramatic to the individual. Go on, sorry.
Oh, no. Okay, so we have to stop kicking the can down the road. So is protesting the COVID measures and going into the streets and writing about it, making movies, making these videos, is that not dealing with the real issue?
In my humble opinion, it feels...
Please be honest, because I think this is important.
It feels masturbatory to me. It feels masturbatory. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You want to... And this is only because of, years of coaching and being in therapy myself. And I know my own bullshit. No, I want to talk about this. Well, why do you want to talk about it? Because I can control that and it fits in with my self-image. Don't you want to talk about this? No, I don't. I don't want to talk about it because it'll make me cry. And I don't want to cry in front of a therapist. I don't want to cry in front of another. So let's talk about... We all do it. It's deflection. It's a simple defense mechanism. There are things that we must let go of. They're done. They're old toys.
Things that we cannot control should be let go, or we should just accept.
There are toys we like to play with. There are games we like to play. There's dress up that we like to do. There's roles that we want to play. They're done. It's over. Now, if you keep clinging to it, you might get a couple of decades out of it, but it's going to hurt. It's really, really going to hurt. And you're going to feel very, very sad and very, very anxious while you do it. There are many things that we need to let go of. Yes, there are positives that we can focus on. But as you said, we should do the Kierkegaardian despair thing. Some of this really sucks. Acknowledge the fact that it really sucks. I think a lot of people are protesting, having their social movements and everything, hoping it will go back. It won't go back.
Are they really? Are they hoping it will go back? I think
they're looking to regain 2018. They just want it back. They just want their lives back. They want Netflix and Uber Eats back, and the freedom to travel wherever they want and take cheap holidays and all the rest of it. Yeah. There's
a lot of disagreement in the circles that I, work, my colleagues and people I know that are actually going into the streets, or they're very critical of the whole COVID thing. And like the half of them are like, we have to let go of this system. The system is broken. We cannot win this fight within the system. So for example, they don't want to go to the courts. They don't want to fight the measures through the lawyers and the judges. They don't want to argue with the journalists. They don't really want to participate in this broken system. I would agree with the premise that it's broken. So they have they're creating these parallel groups of people, like they're taking care of each other. They're meeting up. They're thinking about going to other countries, and you have the other side that is going to the courts. They're trying to show the mass what is happening. We don't have the illusion that we will win all these cases, but I think I'm in the middle. I'm really trying to think of a way that fits my belief of what the future should be. I think it's a sad thought that we should call the system off, like the system is bad. I mean, I believe in democracy and the rule of law.
I don't think you need to find a solution along those lines. What I would say is your fight is your fight. My fight is mine. You can't fight my fight. I can't fight yours. No. I have different skills, so it's from each according to their abilities, to paraphrase Marx.
I think this is true in order to do what you're doing. But the truth is also that we are connecting. I am connecting with other people in other countries. There's this, I think Rupert Sheldrake, who is a biologist, calls it morphic resonance. There's this need to reach out to other like-minded people to stay basically afloat and try to, find some sort of common ground. I think we need to have a little collective of our own, basically. It's difficult to walk away alone. It's not a human desire to do that.
If that's what people feel called to do and they want to create a collective, then they should do that. They should fight this in the way that they see is best fit for them. Every individual should do it in the way that they see is best fit for them, and shouldn't feel pressured or coerced to fight it in the vision of another person. Collectivism is a problem. It's been a problem. We're living with the problems of homogenization. Like, we should all think this way. We should all do this. You mentioned Sheldrake in the morphogenetic field. Like, is there something shifting within the morphogenetic field of humanity itself at the unconscious level? Certainly. We're agitated and we don't know what to do. We want to be told what to do. And I, irritatingly, frustratingly, will say, no, it's on you now. There's no external agency left. It's internal. Your locus of control must become internal. Every time you reach out for another or a system or a political ideology, it will fail you.
I've noticed that too. People tend to go to new leaders very fast. Like, they look up, they hate the political system, they hate their leaders, and then they're looking for a new person that they can adore and be, and they can be.
But that's what children do. They reach out for mummy and daddy's hand. I'm saying we've got to grow up. There's nobody coming to save us.
It's just the individual, like Jordan Peterson's basic message, actually, for this time.
Yin is good. Collectivism is good. So is individualism. So is yang. We just lean too far one way. That's his message. We went too chaotic. Let's bring some order and some individualism back instead of trying to fix the world, which is easy. It's fun trying to fix the world. You're all having a festival of fix. Tidy your own room. Make your damn bed. Just do it yourself. Make your damn bed, bucko. He's right. He's right. And that's why people get so angry with him, because it's very triggering for people who are emotionally codependent, usually, some of them highly narcissistic and borderlines, who are invested in social justice, who are invested in trying to mother the world better. No, it doesn't need that. Let the world be broken and let it grow up. Let it be in pain and let it get stronger from that pain. This is our ayahuasca moment where we vomit and we shit and we cry and right, and then we awaken refreshed and anew with a new vision. We must be stronger than this. We must be stronger than this, because the crisis is our success. The crisis is there's too many of us, and there's only too many of us because we successfully made it to the cities of light and Atlantis that we've dreamt of for so long. Now we're here and we're fucked. We're fucked.
But it's also an opportunity, basically.
It is an opportunity, but don't hold on to malignant optimism. When it's wrong, say it's wrong. When it's fucked, say it's fucked. Let it be fucked. It's hard to do that. I understand, like, the anxiety of going, no, it can't be completely fucked. Some of it is completely fucked. And if we can accept that and go through the grieving cycle, the anger, the denial, the bargaining, get to acceptance, we have a chance.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are maybe still in the face of denial or...
Do you think? Rage, denial, bargaining?
Rage, denial, basically all of them. Yeah.
But eventually we'll get to acceptance. We'll go, hey, you know what? It's not that bad that it's fucked. It's okay that it's fucked. It's not very nice that we were spunking out. Just have a
good cry. Just have a good cry and get on with it.
It's uncomfortable to grow up. Humanity's grieving the loss of its childhood and it's fighting and kicking like hell to hold on. Okay, fine. Fight and kick. Eventually you will become exhausted. And if it's not this crisis, it will be the next one. If it's not the next one, it'll be the one after that. We are moving in a direction that we cannot change.
No.
Cannot change.
We cannot change humanity. We have to grow up and be adults to be human, actually. Yeah, that's true. But for many people, it can be difficult to swallow, like, the red pill in such a short time. I mean, I've met people that are still somewhere in 2008. They're still dealing with the whole, maybe we're not like a democracy anymore. It's you're still, oh, why is my house so expensive? Why Why are these people
Who
just...
stole all the cookies? And why
Yeah,
aren't they in
why?
jail? If we live in a democracy that's liberal and Western and wonderful and based on European values, why
Yeah.
didn't anyone go to jail?
Mm.
Hmm.
Exactly. And it wasn't in the newspaper, so it's not true.
Right?
I didn't that's a conspiracy theory because it wasn't in the newspaper. Everyone needs to go through their own process. Basically, I'm still going through a process every day of thinking like, okay, what is true? What is up? What is down? Like
Yeah.
what can I change? What...
Yeah.
And I have fear for my children also because,
Sure.
I mean, that would make it easier, I guess, if I was alone, but I mean, I have to deal with it. We
Yeah.
have to deal with it.
You've got to be kind to yourself. Humanity's never been stressed in this way
Mm.
before. The
No.
stress is unprecedented. This is
Mm.
high level psychological torture. It's
Mm.
very, very, very hard.
Mm.
I think on the other side of this, a better world awaits. I'm optimistic, but
Mm.
it won't be like this. It won't look like this. It won't feel like this.
Would we need religion in that new world? I
Oh
think,
God, yes.
yeah.
We've done the non-religion thing. We've run that experiment. It's over. We can't
Mm.
like pure materialism. You want to talk narcissism and the flourishing of narcissism? Pure
Mm.
materialism has led us to that.
Yeah.
Look how miserable and wretched we are without spirituality.
Nietzsche
Look
was
how
really right about this.
Nietzsche and credit to Dostoevsky. They
Yeah.
were right. They wrote the same message within 3 years of each other. All
Mm.
credit to them both. They saw
It was
this.
the late 19th century. They just hit the big point, really.
Mm-hmm. And
Interesting.
they did a great job of predicting the future. Both of them. Both of them
Yeah.
saw what was coming. Both of them could see.
Yeah.
But if you took this, I'm not a religious man. I don't believe in an individualized Abrahamic God who's watching over me and wants to smack my bare bottom when I've been bad. I wish I could. I'd find that comforting, even if he was a bad
Why would
guy.
he want to smack you, Richard? He loves you.
Yeah, but he does. He can see how naughty I am. That's why he would want to do it. I would prefer that than what I have, which is like,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest with myself, I'm like, no, there's nothing there. There's no there, but I'm here. You're here. This technology is here. That's
Mhm.
amazing magic. That's
Yeah.
incredible magic. And if we can come back to each other and we can come back to some humility, so we don't need the old Abrahamic religions. We can't take them back. It's done. Like,
I don't really believe in the atheist approach.
no,
I don't know.
no. It's there's nothing
But
to
like
it.
that, which says that morals are human fabrications, and we can just through common sense we can come to an understanding about what is right and wrong. That is not really working. Like the Sam Harris method. I've seen Sam Harris actually really embracing
Yes.
the totalitarian
Yes.
way of thinking,
Exactly.
which is really it's so interesting to
So we
study. Why these?
so now we see, as Jordan Peterson would say, we see what the application of that philosophy actually is. The
Mm,
philosophy sounds great, but how do you live? How
yeah,
are you living? So totalitarianism is how you choose to live if you're
yeah,
this clever type of atheist
yeah,
person.
yeah.
And Dostoevsky created a character like that in the Brothers Karamazov. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name, who was a Sam Harris character. He had all the words, he had all the philosophy, but
Mm,
no humility,
no,
no reverence,
no, he
no
doesn't.
sense of. For me, I just would say it's simple for me. I go, did I create this? No. Am I causing myself to be? No. So I'm not in charge here? No.
No,
So it's really simple. At the top of everything isn't me, but
no. That's that exactly,
without
exactly.
God,
And that's a
without
that's
something.
actually a really liberating thought. I
Mhm.
think to think
Yeah,
that
it
way.
is. It
It's
is.
like
It is.
you need this transcendence. You need to think about something larger than yourself
Hmm.
to actually look at yourself. I think to
And to remember what you are and just be like, yeah, I'm still an animal. I'm driven by childhood trauma, memories, cultural trauma, just dumb stuff. Like
yeah.
I'm not worthless because of it, but you and I, like all of humanity,
Hmm.
our language isn't our own, our thoughts are not our own, and our impulses are not our own. It's
No,
pure narcissism to say, oh, I'm a self driven, I choose this, I choose that. No, not really. You're
mm,
carrying your mum's stuff, your grandmother's stuff, your grandfather's stuff. We're all carrying an
yeah,
awful lot of intergenerational trauma that
yes.
directs where we're going. It's
Hmm.
hard to admit that.
Yeah.
It's hard to put that on Instagram and be like, aren't I cool? I'm driven by unconscious impulses.
There should be a channel like that on Instagram, like talking about all the things that you're not, like I'm not fabulous, I'm not great, I'm not, what is left? I'm sitting here and thinking, something like that. Do you think psychiatrists are going to have a lot of work in a couple of years, like all the CPSD and
I could tell you
that will arise from all the stress that we are facing now?
100%. The mental health crisis will be decades long. We were already in one before this began. In the UK, the system was creaking. Now the system is broken. If you have a very, very serious mental health issue in the UK, you will be spoken to by a quickly trained early 20s person and then directed to a computer program for your therapy. I'm not making that up. A lot of people just can't afford 40 quid, 60 quid an hour to speak to therapists. They just can't do it. So, yeah, the mental health crisis is a tsunami that's still building, and we'll eventually be able to count the cost. When we look at the self-harm spikes, the body dysmorphia, the suicide rates, it'll take us about 4 or 5 years to collate that data.
Yeah.
But when we do, we'll see the catastrophe.
No, well, you won't be out of work then. That's for sure.
No.
Can you handle it?
With great distance, yes. I just keep as much distance as I possibly can. I'm too sensitive to really know what's happening to people.
But you seem very sensitive to me, like a really empathetic person. And I always think, like, how can you deal, because I've heard Jordan Peterson say these things as well, like it's really difficult to speak to all these people and their problems, and it affects him. I can see it affecting him a lot. Does it affect you, or do you use it for your own?
No, it affects me terribly. I understand why Jordan Peterson he cries when he's being interviewed, because of the weight of what he's carrying. I think he has a preponderance. Well, he said he has a preponderance towards depression himself.
Yes.
I keep away from it. I try to understand it algorithmically. I create formations and I look at them opaquely. I look at a collective of people who have a certain type of issue. I'm an engineer and I'm going to offer them material that will help them with that issue. Okay. I do not want to hear about how your father beat you when you were 5. I can't deal with it. I carry it. And so I don't do face-to-face coaching anymore. I'm too sensitive for that stuff.
I don't have any more questions, really. Is there something else that you would like to elaborate on or add to what we've talked about?
I don't think so. We covered a lot in an hour and 5 minutes.
I know. My last podcast was 2.5 hours and everyone was complaining it was too long. So I'm really glad that we made it like exactly 1 hour. I think that's great. We
kept it tight and punchy, which one of the things that I was going to say before that maybe is a point to mention in terms of compassion. A lot of this is fear-based. And if you were traumatized in childhood, this situation probably doesn't terrify you. You know what terror is, where you can't move and you can't do anything at all because you're a child and you're kept by your captors inside of a prison to be psychologically and physically tortured. One can detect this. And so it's not as fear-inducing. It's not as terrifying. And we need to realize that the people who are being terrified like this in such an obvious and stupid way by such a non-threatening virus they've never been stressed like this before, and they're very sensitive and they're very spoiled, and many of them really terrified. Even though they're virtue signaling, even though they're posturing, they are actually driven by terror because they think something awful is out there that's trying to get them, or at least they did in the beginning. And the thing with terror, once you put it in the water, it's kind of like putting a psychedelic in the water. It warps and distorts people's perceptions and behaviors. It has an acidic quality to it. It reduces people's boundaries and takes them back to an infantile state.
Great. Very, very enlightening. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
For this conversation, and good luck with your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a picture of you that I could use?
I'll send you a good one. I've had a few good ones done that have been like photoshopped. I look pretty and everything. And
you deserve a very good one.
Thank you.
It's good for the clicks.
It is good for the clicks. Yeah.